All right, read through that top little part. It's been a little while. Let me go backwards for a second. We said a couple of your rules where you cannot have a fraction underneath a radical sign, and you cannot have a radical in the denominator. And so we always had something like this where we broke it up into square root of 3 over square root of 4, and that became square root of 3 over 2. And it worked out nice. Now we got to deal with the case that doesn't work out as nice, and how do we do that? And you're also not allowed to have a radical. You can't have this. I'll explain how we get rid of that here in a second. A quotient with a square root in the denominator is not simplified. That would be that case there, 3 over square root of 2. You can't give me that as an answer. We need to get rid of that radical. That's kind of what we're going over today. Couple things here. Reduce fractions if you can. Reduce fractions means if you have 6/8, you make it 3/4. Simplify the radicals. That means if I have the square root of 8, I simplify it to 2 square root of 2 by doing your factor tree. Rationalize will be that next step, which I'll explain. Simplify again if needed. So that's kind of a little bit of the steps that we need to follow. Okay. Here's this case. Can't leave it. We don't know what the square root of 2 is. There's no decimals in this whole chapter. Okay, so you can't hit square root of 2 on your calculator, gives you this decimal. All right, I'm going to multiply it by something to create something I know the square root of. What can I multiply square root of 2 by to create something that gives me a whole number? Zach?
You multiply by 2.
Square root of 2. You're right, 2. So here's the deal. I'm going to multiply this by the square root of 2. So that I don't change anything, if you multiply the bottom by something, you also have to multiply the top by the same thing. So I got to multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 2, because that is really the same as a 1. We're not changing the value of it. Okay, we're changing how it looks. This is kind of like 3/6 is the same as 1/2, but it's going to make it the other way. Now, 5 times square root of 2. 5 is not inside a radical, so this is all you can do is make it 5 radical 2. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4. This helps us because what's the square root of 4? 2. 2. So 5 square root of 2 over 2. Okay, that'll be the case. 5 square root of 2 over 2. Now, you can only cancel numbers like outside of radicals together. Now, 5 and 2 doesn't simplify. You cannot cancel this 2 and that 2 because it's underneath a radical. Not allowed to do that. So that would be your answer. It has the same value, and this is something, let's see, 5 divided by square root of 2, that was the initial one. That equals 3.53. If I take 5 square root of 2 divided by 2, get the same answer. We're not changing its value. For reasons just to make things consistent, we don't want to have a radical in the denominator. You've got to know this procedure. Okay, it's called rationalizing the denominator. Basically, you get the radical out of there. So rationalizing the denominator. Okay, good. All right, second one there. You're really only concerned with the denominator. Square root of 11 over square root of 3. What am I going to multiply both top and bottom by to get rid of that radical 3? What did you say, Christian?
Square root of 3.
Square root of 3. Good. So multiply both of those by square root of 3 over square root of 3. That gives me, okay, instead of me doing it, Josh, you know what they give you in the top?
Sure. Do you just multiply 3 times 11?
It's kind of what I'm asking you.
33.
Yes, you would get the square root of 33 because they're both inside the radical. Sam, what do I get in the bottom? Square root of 9. Now you're not done because what's the square root of 9? 3. Now if you want, you can just jump to, and you're going to figure this out really quick. Anytime I multiply the same two things together underneath the square root, you are going to end up with that number that was under the square root. So square root of 3 times square root of 3 is going to end up equaling 3. If I take square root of 5 times square root of 5, what's that going to equal? 5, because technically it's the square root of 25. Rachel? Why did I put 11? All right, give that girl a bonus point.
Come on, man, I got the answer right. No.
She fixed it. Good work. I don't know why I put 11.
I noticed.
Yeah, she was the one that said something. Okay. All right, square root of 5 times square root of 5 is square root of 25, which is 5. That's always going to happen that way. Square root of 7 times square root of 7 will end up equaling 7. Okay, that's the whole reason we do that. I'm okay if you write in the square root of 9 and change it. I'm okay if you just make it a 3. Okay, make it, save you a half a step. All right, that's the third one, right?
What was the answer for the?
That was the second one.
All right. Square root of 33 over 3. Because the square root of 9 is 3. Now 33, we do need to try, and I just kind of got a little bit lazy there. Is 3 times 11? You can't break it down into anything further. So we leave that. All right, square root of 13 times square root of 5. Or over square root of 5. Multiply the top and bottom by square root of 5. Let's see if I can do this correctly here. What do you get on top? Zane, what do we get on top?
The square root of 65.
Square root of 65. 13 times 5 is 65. What's square root of 5 times square root of 5? Zane, since you're on fire?
5.
It'll be 5. The only thing you need to check is will 65 reduce, simplify? It's 13 times 5. 13 and 5 are both prime. It will not go down any further. So that is our answer. Okay. Okay. You do need to try to simplify. The first 3 worked out pretty nice, but they did. Okay, square root of 13m over square root of 20. I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this. All right, and I don't know what one's easier than the other. All right, what do you think you multiply by? Okay, how do I get rid of that radical 20 in the bottom? Amanda, what do you think? So I'm going to do this. Square root of 20 over square root of 20. What do I get? What do we, Preston, what do we get on top?
260.
260. Don't forget the M.
M.
What do we get on the bottom? 20. Square root of 20 times square root of 20 will be 20. Okay? Factor tree 260. It's going to be a little bit easier if you start with 13 times 20. 13 is prime. 20 is 4 times 5.
Wait, why didn't you times the 20s together?
I thought we had the top.
Because this is what we talked about just a second ago here. Hold on.
Let me know ask them.
Hey. Listen up. If you have this case, square root of 20 times square root of 20. 20 times 20 is 400. and then the square root of 400 is always going to just give us back 20. So we just kind of took this. You can take that step out. You can put it in there if you want. All right, now 260 is 2 times 2 times 5 times 13. There's an M in there, and then there's a 20. I got a pair of 2s. You got to take that 2 out, multiply 5 times 13. And so I get 2 squared root of 65m over 20. All right, name it that. I'm not done. You're really close, and you get most of the points for this right, but it's not entirely correct. Can somebody tell me what maybe we can do to simplify? Okay, from here. Think of it like a fraction. 2 over 20 can reduce. What does 2 over 20 reduces to 1 over 10? So that means that becomes 1 square root of 65m over 20.
We have to put the 1.
You don't have to put the 1. Okay. So for a lot of you, you just make it square root of 65m. So that 1 doesn't have to be there. If you got it there, it's okay. All right, I said I was going to do this one 2 ways. I'm going to do the second way. You can just pay attention on this and get this down. What do you want?
It should be over 10, right?
Over 10. Oh man, I had to give that boy a bonus point.
Golly.
Then raise your hand.
Here we go. I saw Zach's hand. Let me get the next option.
first one?
Who's the first one? Gibson.
I don't have it written down, I think it's probably work well, and I did about 9 multiplied by 5.
That's not.
All right, and I'm going to do that. The second way to do this is you take a look here. Square root of 20 simplify. You can either simplify now or you can simplify later. A lot of times you simplify first, you can make the problem a little bit easier. Square root of 20 is the same as 2 times 2 times 5, which becomes 2 square root of 5. And so I can write this as square root of 13m over 2 square root of 5. It'll make my work a little bit easier. We'll still get the same answer. If you got a number in front and I'm rationalizing the denominator, you only need to multiply by the radical. So I can multiply this by radical 5, and this is radical 5. This gives me square root of 65m, which is what we have over here. What is 2 square root of 5 times square root of 5? Multiply the square roots together. It's square root of 25. Square root of 25 is a 5, and you end up with a 10. So we do end up with the same answer. Okay, we do end up with the same answer. So if you recognize something that simplifies, it makes life maybe a little bit easier if you do it right away. These others, like square root of 2, doesn't simplify. Square root of 3 doesn't simplify. Square root of 5 doesn't simplify. So we only had one option. This one gave us another option. All right, what's E look like? Okay, 2 square root of 80 over 7. Okay. Does the square root of 7 simplify? No, but the square root of 80 does. Go ahead and simplify that now. Let's not multiply by anything, but take square root of 80 and simplify it. Do a factor tree. And don't I'll put that in later. So square root of 80 is 10 times 8. I'm going to put the 8 first. 8 times 10. 8 is 4 times 2. 10 is 2 times 5. All right, now here's what you got to watch. You take out a pair of 2's, which becomes a 4 on the outside because you multiply them together. But don't forget, in the original problem, what was already out there? A 2. So what does that now become since I put a 4 out there? becomes 8 square root of 5 over square root of 7. Now, we got to get rid of that square root of 7 in the bottom by multiplying by square root of 7 over square root of 7. All right. Connor,
Yeah.
what do you think we get on top? What's that?
Would it just be 7?
Top. On top.
Off. We lost it.
I just want to see if you know what you're allowed to multiply together and what you're not allowed to multiply together. You say, so 8 square root of 5 times square root of 7.
It would be 8 square root of 35.
All right, that's what I wanted to see. So you did know. 8 square root of 35. You were right on the bottom. Square root of 7 times square root of 7 is just 7. 35, I'm going to tell you, doesn't simplify. You could do a factor tree on it, but since we already did the 80, it kind of took care of that. 8 and 7, they have nothing in common. So that means this is your final answer. 8 square root of 35 over 7. Okay. So if you simplify first, you can make things a little bit nicer. I think we got an F, don't we?
Yeah.
Is that what you got? 3 square root of 10 over 5 square root of 2?
Yeah.
All right, 10 is 2 times 5. Do we get any pairs?
No.
So what's my only option is to multiply by what? Square root of 2 over square root of 2. All right, in the numerator, J. Lee, what's that going to become? What do you think? 3 square root of 10 times square root of 2. Good, 3 square root of 20. What does the denominator become, Preston?
It would be 10.
Okay, it is going to be 10. Now, I'm going to take an extra step here because you're going to take square root of 2 times square root of 2, which is square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2. It's going to equal 10. All right, I'm going to tell you something here. Square root of 20 does simplify.
Would that be 6 radical 5?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's the top.
Okay, you get a pair of 2s. You already have a 3 out there. 3 times 2 is 6. It becomes 6 radical 5. And you're really close there. You've done everything good to this point, but there's one more thing we can do. Call it. Simplify the constants on the outside, and the 6 and the 10, what does it simplify to?
3 square root of, 3 square root of 5 over 5.
Good. You better say 5. 3 square root of 5 over 5. 3 square root of 5 over 5. Before that. Okay. All right, now,
Take off if we didn't. Simplify.
maybe a point out of 4. Okay. Okay, some of these are from Friday's assignment as well. Okay, this is do or die time. Double assignment. Get it done. I got to put a little bit of emphasis on that. So it means work 20 points. Those of you with low homework grades, this is an opportunity to bring it up. Or if you've done a good job like you're supposed to, keep it up. Plus, we got time in class, so you can ask me or Mr. Schlur, especially if you're confused about maybe some of the ones from Friday, or need to double check. So you got, you need to be getting done with hopefully the first 4 or 5 before you get out of here.
Oh, heck yeah, bro.